I'd like to welcome everyone to HBCU Coaches Corner. My name is Rocky, and I'm along with my co-host, Mr. Stephen Campbell, the bishop, the detective. And the prayer line will be open tonight, just so y'all know.
All right.
But for our featured guest, the man you all come to, our featured host rather, the man you all come to see, the SWAC legend himself, that man who one night in Mississippi against Willie Satellite Totten and Jerry Rice threw 6 touchdowns. He has also coached a SWAC MVP. He's also won a SWAC championship at his alma mater. None other than my man, Johnnie Cole. Hey, Coach, you done a whole lot, Coach. It never failed me. I learned something about you. Every person I talk to, Coach, I was talking to Ashbury over at when we were in Grambling and when we were in Southern.
SWAC MEAC Challenge game.
At the SWAC MEAC Challenge. I learned something new about you. I talked to other guys. They tell me even more about you, Coach. Coach, you're a man that lived several lives all into one, Coach.
Well, first of all, I thank the man upstairs, man, who have blessed me. And next to them, man, I had 8 brothers, man, that really, really raised me, you know what I mean? And make sure I did the right things and learned the right things. And, you know, I was an athletic machine, you would say. But they kept me away from all the drugs and the streets and all that kind of stuff, man, and made me just focus on who I wanted to be and what I wanted to be. So it ain't me. And then, of course, I had a lot of great players, which we're going to bring on today, man, and a lot of super coaches around me. As you guys know, that they've went on and done great things. We got one in the SWAC right now. They're about to take the West. So, you know, I can't say enough, man. And I'm just that vessel, I guess, to be able to produce so much in such a short time that I had being in the game.
Yeah, Coach, it's hard to believe that, you know, your time in the game, though you've been around it basically your entire life, but your time as a head coach, coordinator, assistant, you put a lot in the time that you were given, the opportunities you were given to coaching. And Coach, it's remarkable that you were able to do all that in a really abbreviated career.
Without a doubt. You know, I still got gasoline in my tank, man. And, you know, I still got my whistle hung up in the closet and some of them old shoes I had. But, you know, man, hey, you know, if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, man, look, I've done my deal. And this is my way of giving back, you know, coming on here every week with you guys. And I can't say enough about you guys, man, and the time we've been together and spent together in the last year. And over 2 million views, Coach, in 1 year, going into our second season. You know, we're going on the right path. So, you know, I'm very excited. Every Tuesday, I get opportunity to try to share the SWAC, the MEAC, and Black college coaches, you know, with our culture and who else is watching, you know, and be able to learn something on this show.
Hey, Campbell, I got to bring you in on this conversation right before we move on. Do you have any updates on anything that's going on with FAMU or anything around the SWAC you want to comment in before we move on to and bring our guest on?
Well, I'm going to say this. Our coach is preparing to play North Carolina Central. Says they're going to do some soul searching. That he's going to have to coach better, so he will be the coach on Saturday. That I can report. How about that?
Man, it's rough. It's rough. It's truly rough in the SWAC. And in the 5 years I've been covering the SWAC, been a huge fan, I always thought, and I've said this many times, I always thought that face painting, crazy stuff that white folks did with their colleges, I thought that was just white folks being white folks. But I've come to understand that this HBCU stuff may even be more serious in some ways. And so Yeah, it's tremendous to see all of the fandom, the outright fanaticism, if that's a word, about how the SWAC and MEAC fans feel about their schools. I haven't seen a fight yet, but that ain't mean one ain't happened. But I just ain't seen it. So, and I'll ask Campbell this: has it always been that passionate since you've been watching the last 50 years you've been watching?
Man, listen, I'm gonna say this again. I think people that are fans, and man, this go all the way down to the high school level. You know what I mean? You go to certain towns, you know, people, man, they love their schools, you know, and before, you know, again, I know the football is not the same far as talent level, but people still love their schools. People still want to win championships. People still want to beat their rivals. That all matters. You know, this game that we're going to talk about, Alabama State and Jackson State, hey, man, those people not worried about if Ole Miss is playing Alabama. They worry about Jackson State and Alabama State. That's a championship heavyweight fight. Everybody's going to be watching it. Everybody's going to be excited. Jackson State's homecoming. Alabama State's going to bring a lot of people. And for them, that is a big game. That's just as big as whoever's playing in the SEC that weekend. So, man, for me and for people that grew up with it and went to school and things like that, man, we love to see games like this. And all we want is just to see really good football. And we want our coaches to do well and we want our schools to do well. So, you know, that's why I'm excited talking to the young man, because he was one of those guys that people went to go see. You know what I mean? He kind of bought some seats in the building there, didn't he, Coach?
Hey, look, man, this guy could do it, boy. He could really do it, man. I was just excited, man. You know, he had been just inducted, and we'll talk about that. But, Coach, when you say Willie Totten, when you say Steve McNair, when you say Leon Murray, you say Darnell Kennedy. When you say Bruce Eugene, you say Darnell Kennedy. And this guy could do it, man. I had a great time of coaching him, and I want to bring him on, Coach. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the most prolific passers in SWAC history. And like I was just saying about the great ones, he finished number 6 in all-time passing back in 2021. I'm
2020,
sorry. Yeah,
2001.
2002. Yeah, 2001, 2002. And he's still ranked in the top 20 of all times. And now they're throwing the ball every down. I met him as going into his junior year. He had started 2 years before us, but they were 2-9. I think he won 4 games before I showed up. And this kid he had everything, man. He could make every throw. He was an athlete. He was probably a better basketball player than a football player. But he was hungry. He was hungry. He wanted to be coached. We became real close, you know, on and off the field, man. And I tell you what, when he got it, we brought the hobo offense in there, man. He sucked it up like you sucking up some biscuit and some gravy. And he was able to change plays, recognize fronts, recognize coverages, get us in the right play. I can't say enough about him. My man, Darnell Kennedy.
I appreciate that, Coach. Thanks for bringing me on, man.
Yeah. Well, you know, man, we always talk about quarterbacks in the past and how we compare them now to then, man. You know, we still got to give you, and we have Bruce Eugene on last week. Of course, we have Willie Totten on. You know, your name is synonymous with them, man. You know, now that you see the future of the SWAC, and back when you played, what's your thoughts on how things are going as far as that quarterback position?
Man, I think it's fascinating how much it grew from, you know, the time when I played versus the time that it is now. You know, the offenses that they're running now, it seemed like it was the offense that we ran that we started running 20 years ago with the zone, a lot of the zone reads, a lot of the don't block the ends, you read the ends and you throw off the end, and you it's like a pass off the end. And just the freedom that they have now in that kind of offense that me and you had back then is just, I think we laid the blueprint as far as what teams are doing now.
Yeah. Well, and I probably need to start, man. Of course, we got a lot of Alabama State people watching, a lot of fans. Kind of tell us what you're doing now. Right after you got through, left to Alabama State, you played in the All-Star game. Kind of start from there to bring us to where you are today.
Well, I played in the blue-gray game. I went in there and I was having a great week of practice, completing everything. I was talking to all kinds of NFL scouts. And then about 3 days in, they had a little mini combine thing where they do the measurements and all that kind of stuff. And then I weighed in at 185. So I was, so after that, after I weighed in at 185, I didn't talk to another NFL coach after that. I was real friends with a scout that was from Mobile, and he went to, he was the GM for the Baltimore Ravens at the time. And he was saying, man, you got to go out there and complete everything. If you're about to get signed by anybody. So you got to go out and play in this game. It'll be 100% in order to get a shot in the NFL. So I did get drafted. A team in Canada, they had my right. So I went up there to play in Canada. I played for 9 years. I played 3 years in Calgary. I was traded to Ottawa, played 3 years there, and then Ottawa folded, and I played 1 year in Toronto. And then after that, I went to play a little bit of arena. I played arena for 5 years, 2 years for the Georgia Force. And then after that, I became a deputy sheriff, worked for the Clayton County Sheriff's Office for about 11 years. 5 years as a lieutenant for a fugitive unit, and then now I'm working for the Fulton County District Attorney's Office as a senior investigator.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, did a little coaching.
Wait, Coach, wait a minute. I'm gonna let you get into it, but Don, I want to say this. This is what an HBCU education does for you. This man is not a football player. This man is a professional who plays football. So I have to let people know how we move. Kennedy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just gotta listen. See, people don't understand when you go to HBCU. Rocky, this is what happens. You see what I'm saying? See, we get these jobs.
Them good jobs. Get them good jobs.
Anyway, so I just gotta set that table. So Coach, go ahead. Bob, I want people to this ain't just a quarterback we talking to.
Man, my cheeks hurt from smiling because, man, this is what coaching is about. Seeing a young man, I had to put my foot in him, talk to him about how important education was. And, my biggest thing with Darnell is you're going to be judged by pass percentage and winning losses. And I remember one time watching film on him, and he would drive the team all the way down the field, from running most of the time and throwing. Then he would get down there inside the 5 and throw a damn interception. I said, see, Darnell, that's what you got to make us win. You can't give up. You can't because I'm tired. Let me just throw one in there. You got to make us win. And I think he bought into that. Well, how did you feel that I know we were a different staff from what you had? You were 2-9, 2 years straight back to back. What you think the difference about a winning coach? And I ain't gonna say the guys you had a losing coach, but they just didn't win with you guys.
Well, yeah, I came in with an old school coach. He was there at the school about 20 years before I got there. Mm-hmm. Coach Houston Markham. And, I didn't go there to be the starter. Alabama State was my only scholarship. And then when I showed up to camp, I was the number 6 quarterback on the depth chart. So by the first game of the season, I ended up being like the backup. And we played Jackson State, and they kind of got into us a little bit. And he looked at me and said, let's see what the young guy can do. I went in there and went 6 for 8 and 100 yards, and I was the starter ever since. And so, just going through that, and I think we went, like you said, about 3-2-9 or 3 and something. And they ended up firing him. They brought in Coach Dickerson. We had a middle of the road season with Coach Dickerson. I kind of ran the option mostly. And I think we went about 4-7-ish. And then the next season, I broke my foot the first game. And so when I broke my foot, they ended up losing a lot. And then they got fired, and then they brought you guys in. Right. So I think the difference in when y'all took over from Coach Dickerson to you guys, it was just, you instilled a lot of confidence in a lot of guys. You know, we won. We've been there. We did this, and we're gonna make y'all winners, and we're gonna give this to y'all, and we're gonna show y'all how to win. We're gonna show y'all how to act when you win, what it takes to win, how you got to go through practice, and what it takes to get to, and what it takes to be a winner or a champion. And you know, a lot of the guys bought into it right then because, you know, a lot of guys didn't want another coaching change. We already had been through 2, and then we just didn't want them just to hire anybody. So, you know, we kind of wanted to talk to the president and say, hey, can we put our word in for the next head coach? And, you know, we was talking about boycotting, but they already had hired you guys. You guys came in, and, you know, we bought in immediately.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the backstory of how Donald Watkins was a board member. I'll give you the short story. He was looking for the best coach in the country. And of course, they were trying to talk about Alabama State moving to Division I. He said, well, if we move, because they already had the stadium that they play in now, they already had that on the board. So when they came down to visit, they said, well, who's the best black coaches in the country? Evidently, our names, me and my brother's name came up. And they came out and visited us and took us to steak dinner and recruited us big time. It's big time. And we agreed that we were going to come there and play. But while we on our way, once my brother resigned and then told my mama that Johnny don't need to be the head coach at Tennessee State because Tennessee State had offered me the job after my brother left. And so, man, me being the little brother, I said, all right, man, damn it, I'm going. Where we going? So anyway, make a long story short, we up in the plane, great landing in Montgomery. They called us up in the plane. I never heard of that. They called you up in the plane because it was a private jet and said, the kids are boycotting. They don't want y'all here, you know. So I remember LC said, hey, guys, don't worry about that. I'll handle that when we got there. And so finally we got there, and all the kids was in the auditorium with everything they wanted to say about what was going on. So that's how we got there. That's how it all started off. But they had recruited us to come there. So I didn't know if you even knew the backstory of how we got there. But one thing I knew, I said, they got a quarterback. We're going to be all right. My fiance said, did you boycott? Was you part of the boycott?
Well, I was part of the team, so you know the team do it. I got to do it. You know what I mean? So I can't be by myself. But I do remember that meet. I do remember our first meeting, Coach. The meeting you brought me in the office, and you said I wasn't nothing. And I said, "What? I just won freshman of the year. I was, you know, all conference. And so that don't mean nothing. You get all your yards when the game over."
Right. and what's your record? That's what I say. What's your record?
What's your record? And all that, though, all the stats don't matter unless you're winning. Yeah, I remember all that.
That's it. You know, I'm gonna let you guys go ahead. I know, Campbell, you got some stats and stuff, and we can't keep him long. He got to protect the judge tomorrow.
Well, Rocky, you want to go or you want me to go?
No, go ahead, Campbell. I'll defer to you.
All right. Well, listen here, Darnell. First of all, this is a pleasure. But, man, let me tell you something. And I kind of like to bring the historical perspective because I actually watched you play. Now, I'm going to bring something up because this week, who's playing makes a difference what I'm about to share. So as everybody knows, the game of the year is your alma mater against Jackson State. They're homecoming. But guess what? In 2001, it was their homecoming too. And guess what? I was in the building. I'm going to pull up something to show you all what happened in this game in 2001. Let me pull that up right here. And I want you to look at this. And let me know when you guys can see this. I'm going to try to see if I can make
Oh, my God.
Listen, now hold on, Rocky. Let me tell you how historic this game is. Wait a minute, hold on. Let's see here. And I'll probably have to read it just to let everybody know. So Alabama State and Jack State were 1-2, okay? The quarterback that he was opposite of was Robert Superman Kent, okay? There was a guy that was a wide receiver. Guess who his name is? T.C. Taylor, Jack State's head coach. And in this game, I'm sitting up at this is homecoming. I bring all my homeboys from Atlanta. I said, man, listen, if you want to see something crazy, you got to come to me with Jack State homecoming. They got this kid from Alabama State that's slinging, and Kent is crazy with it. So we're sitting up here, and man, all we see is touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And let me say this: you went for 5 touchdowns,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
259. Kent went for was it 560, and threw for a bunch of touchdowns. And TC Taylor had 14 catches for 200 yards. Can you for 235 yards? Can you talk about that game? Do you remember that game and how crazy that game was going back and forth, and how history brings it back?
Man, that game was crazy, and it's crazy that they playing at the same time 25, 26 years later, right? So I know one thing I remember about that game. I remember about when I went to the stats, I was like, man, I had 5 touchdowns. I had to have about 500 yards. They said, man, you only threw for 200. I said, what? So, I think we had got a bunch of short fields, and the running game was working pretty good. Man, it was just a shootout. I'm talking about we had to score every single drive. It was no drive we could take off. Every single drive, we had to go out there and score. We scored. We think we got the game under control. Then Kent come out there and he do his thing, and they go right down the field and they score. Then we had to come back and we score. And so eventually we had our last drive or so, we was trying to like run the clock out so they couldn't get the ball back. And then we ended up punching it in at the end. I think I threw a slant at the end to like seal it. And that kind of ended the game for us.
Let's get something straight. We led the whole game. Like we would go up 14, they would come right back. We go up another 7, they come right back. It was just back and forth. And that's
all you heard was the fans playing all night long. And Cats, Coach, you know I'm not lying. Because I wanted that
game must have lasted 5 hours.
It lasted 4 hours, Coach.
Right,
68,
but Coach, that game was in the day. Or was it at
night? Yeah.
It started in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, when we left out there, I'm like, the crazy thing, and I want to say this because I know we got to hear you there. What do you think about it when you're talking about something historic? That was a historic game. You're talking, and same thing here. You're playing for the conference. That was the conference championship, well, for that particular side.
It was.
And now you look at it 20 years, 25 years later, let's just say that, and you see an Andrew Bonney and you see the quarterback, Jacoby Morgan for Jackson State. Do you sit back and say, wow, this could be the same type of game? And have you followed that?
I did think that. I was at Alabama State's homecoming this weekend, and they were saying they had to go against Jackson State. And I said, whoa, Jackson State undefeated. They undefeated in the conference too. So this could be pretty much the same exact game that we just had back when I was playing, and it's gonna be at Jackson State. Now back then I didn't know it was Jackson State homecoming because I probably we should have scored 80 if I knew it was they brought us in for their homecoming. But especially for them to go in there for their homecoming with the way Body's playing, with the way Jackson State quarterback is playing and their team is playing, man, that's set up to be a powerhouse matchup.
Well, I just had to get that out there because we got a lot of younger people, right? And they hear these names of Superman, Kent, and Kennedy and things like that. And I keep trying to tell people, man, we ain't new to this. We have had guys to have these great shootouts, these great teams, these great offense. I'm just keeping honest. Our offense is a little bit inept. It ain't like y'all day. You know what I mean? When we had that level of quality quarterback play. So it kind of hurts me. So I'm super excited because this is one of the few years, and I always say, and Nana, you're going to understand this, post-prime, people like Rocky, came in here with prime. The quarterback play has not been up to the standard when it was at your level, and when you're talking about Willie Todd and Steve McNair. So I'm super excited that we're going to see a quarterback battle in a big game like this. Yeah. Like I just had to put that out there. I'm going to let you go ahead and go.
No.
Let me get a backstory on that, too. The week before, we played Johnson C. Smith, and we scored 63. And then LC, like the head coach, he went to the quarterback meeting, and oh, man, that's Johnson C. Smith. We're going to see what y'all do next week against Jackson State. But also, see, I didn't coach with no headsets, and I had on glasses. So they like, hey, man, you got to get your brother out through glass. He got to put some headsets on. So then next week, we roll into Jackson State, and talking to my man Darnell, he ended up putting 68 on Jackson State. So that kind of ended that.
You know, Darnell, like I said, I recently watched your highlights, and you were a tremendous player, for sure. But you talked about how Coach Cole impacted you as a player. If you could name one or two things how he affected you as a player, can you just bring that out to see? Because here's my point. We always talk about when a quarterback position in the SWAC, one of the things is that it struggles because the coaches always end up pulling the quarterbacks, swapping quarterbacks. They're playing two guys, they're playing three guys. Coach Cole has always been a proponent that you find a guy and you stick with a guy and you develop that guy. But I want to know, what did Coach Cole put in you that allowed you to be the player that you were as a quarterback?
I mean, I don't know if you caught it earlier when he said that. He sat me down and when I drive down the field and, I get us down to the 5 and I end up throwing the interception previously. He sat me down in that office after he told me I wasn't nothing and all that kind of stuff. He said, you have to be the reason, not why we win, but you have to be the reason why your team believes they can win. You know what I mean? So it was so I did everything in my power as far as if that's working harder, if that's watching more film, if it's learning more plays. I had to learn everybody's position so I can tell them what they had to do if they broke out of the huddle and didn't know what they was doing. So I had to be able to tell them, hey, you got to post on this. You got to dig on this route. When we come up to the line and they give me the look I want, hey, coach, can I run this? Go ahead and run it. Hey, and we running it. So the faith that he had in me, the confidence that he had in me, really pushed me to be much better than I was in my freshman and sophomore year. And I was really good my freshman and sophomore year. But I tell everybody, man, I became great with them because he gave me that mindset of you have to make these guys believe you're going to win. Not because you play quarterback, not because you Darnell Kennedy, not because you threw off all these yards. Only reason they're going to believe you're going to win is because you playing quarterback. And you got to do everything else other than giving me passing yards, completing passes, that's going to make them believe that. So you got to do all the small things, intangible things. That's being the last one off the field after practice. That's the one taking all the reps in practice. I did scout teams sometimes. I might be running a couple routes in practice. You know what I mean? Just to let them know I'm here to do everything we can to make us win. And that just didn't stop at the game. That started in practice. That started, in the dorm room. That started in the calf. Whatever we did, I did that for my team.
Now, Rocky, we went and recruited a quarterback from Oklahoma State. All right, and we brought him in. Damn, I can't. Damn, what was his name, Darnell?
There you go, BJ.
BJ Tiger. Oklahoma State coach, 6'2", nice arm. I'm sitting in the room with both of them. I recruited both of them. I said, look, y'all both, and both of them was hella athletes. Here's the crazy part about it. I said, well, BJ, look here, man. This guy's he's in front of you. Just like the Shador Sanders and the kid at the Browns. The kid in front of Shador played that in that offense. Darnell was already set in our offense. And I just told BJ, man, look, I need both of y'all on this field. And I ended up moving him to wide out. And both of them made All-American. Both of them made the All-American team. Him in the wide team.
Yeah, BJ ended up catching 1,000 yards. You've been 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah. So,
and people ask me what was my best year or best season. And was it the senior year or the junior year? I don't know if you know this, Coach, but my junior year, right? Because we was trying to look back and see why we didn't get to the championship game my junior year. And we was like, well, we don't have 1,000-yard receiver. We didn't have 1,000-yard back. So we got to get that in my senior year. And we ended up getting that in the senior year. But the junior year, I think we had about 4,000 yards passing, guys.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a single 1,000-yard receiver. We didn't have 1,000. I think we had 2 with 9, 1 with 8, 2 tight ends with 600 yards. if you ask me what was my best college season, I will point to that junior season because everybody caught the ball. It was no favorites. It was nothing the defense could do to stop us.
The reason why we didn't go is because we lost to Alabama A&M in the Magic City Classic. We both had the same record. And I don't know, remember we had just won and we were waiting on Alabama A&M. They were playing Mississippi Valley and they were down.
And they were down.
Yep. Hail Mary to win the damn game. We was on our way to play Grambling again. And the next year we made it clear. We beat Alabama A&M. What we scored, about 50 on them?
Yeah, to 0. 45-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. Yeah.
No, it wasn't even close.
Hey, we're going to take Coach, I need to step in here and do something right quick. Hey, I want to thank everybody who's been watching this on Off Script. As we usually do, we're going to suspend this live on the Off Script channel and continue it on the Rocky Miller channel, the home of the HBCU Coaches Corner. And you guys can go ahead, Coach. Go ahead and resume the conversation.
Yeah, hey, man, I ain't going to hold you long, Darnell. Like I said, I want to make sure, man, that first I appreciate you allowing me to be a part of your life and taking what I had to offer in and taking it to another level. You know, I've always tell people, man, I had great players, and I tell you, you didn't play football, you were a football player, man, and I appreciate that, and I want to make sure that people don't forget you. Look, you need to be coaching somewhere, you know, but hey, man, I know you got everything stable. You married now, right?
I am married. I got 2 kids. I got 3 kids. One from a past marriage, but I got 2 that stay with me, and the other one, she's 21 now. But I do coach with my wife. I'm an assistant basketball coach. Oh, okay. And a lot of the stuff you taught me about the leadership part, that's what I'm trying to teach them. You know what I mean? As far as being a leader, because it's basketball, right? It's different from football. But, you know, I did want to get into some training with the kids, but I'm trying to find the right age group, right? Because when I was talking about us, right, as far as quarterbacks and quarterbacks that look like us, right, I think a lot of the kids are getting handicapped because they're not being taught how to play quarterback. You know, they get high school coaches that rely on their athleticism and relying on their athleticism to win games versus teaching them how to play the position. And so let's just think, if an athletic quarterback like myself learn how to play the position where you can read defenses and read coverages and or look at the fronts and know where the run's supposed to go, what the protection's supposed to be, and cover 2, cover 4, and you learn all that and nothing to defense, and you always finding the open person and completing passes and then I can run the ball if you cover everything, you know what I mean, in your back pocket. Just think how much longer you'll be able to play this game in the NFL and stuff like that. So that is my dream as far as trying to, you know, train kids, coach kids and stuff like that, as far as trying to be quarterback and not just a athletic guy playing quarterback.
Let me ask you this, Darnell. Are you open to come in and mentor some of these young quarterbacks in the SWAC or the SIAC or whatever? Not necessarily coach, but I think some of the things like the leadership aspect of it is important. And I know that a lot of guys, in my opinion, struggle with that because of the way the coaches handle them, pulling them in, how can you be established leadership when you don't know how much you're going to play each and every Saturday that you're coming to the game? I know you never had to deal with that, but is there a place to be a leader in that particular situation? And are there some mentorship opportunity that you would be willing to receive if Coach Cole called you or something like that to mentor a guy? Because I think there's a lot of really talented guys in the SWAC, but they may need some pep talks or some guidance that could probably assist them navigate what I think is a very difficult situation in the SWAC with guys being yo-yoed at the position.
That's very true. I mean, I would absolutely love to mentor some guys and show them the way, just give them some, you know, just give them hope and just try to teach them some of the things that I was taught when I was playing quarterback and when I was in the SWAC and when I was playing. But that two quarterback system, man, is hard to deal with, man. Because a lot of the things that a quarterback needs to do, you have to build it up. You know what I mean? The rhythm has to be there. I got to be able to complete. Like, honestly, I went into every game not feeling like I wasn't going to complete a pass. I was that nervous until I completed one. Once I completed that hitch or once I completed that slant, then we was off and running. Yeah. Really, if the defense knew all they had to do was get me to have my first pass be incomplete, then they would have had a chance. But, those guys need that confidence. And if they have to come out every time they have an incomplete pass, or if they come out every time they make a bad read, then, what are they really learning? You know what I mean? Because you have to learn from your mistakes. You know what I mean? You have to learn from what you're doing wrong.
Hey, Darnell, I'm sorry, Brian. Were you about to say something else?
Well, I was just going to simply ask a question. Man, you made me lose my train of thought. Go ahead, Mr. Campbell.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't mind saying one thing else too. One thing JC told me, because it was at one point where I was I got every rep in practice, every single rep. That's scout team, that's first team rep, second team rep. I got every rep, right? And if a receiver dropped the ball, coach, it was my fault. I'm supposed to know what kind of ball I'm supposed to throw for every single receiver that's going to catch a pass from me. You understand what I'm saying? So how can a quarterback do that if they're not playing the entire game? You know what I mean?
I remember what I was going to ask you, Darnell, and I want you to be honest, right? You're not a coach or anything like that, so you don't have to be beholden to somebody. Does it take a quarterback to coach a quarterback how to be a quarterback?
Does it take a quarterback to coach a quarterback how to be the quarterback?
Yes.
No. Hold on. Let me think about that. And it depends on what is that coach got to teach the quarterback. Do you know the mechanics of throwing the football? Is he trying to learn to read? Is he, you know what I mean? Is it footwork? Is it timing? Is it,
so this is a conversation that Coach Cole has been a proponent of. Offensive line coach.
I think it's hard for a guy that has never played quarterback before to teach a quarterback how to be a quarterback, especially if you want him to be a good quarterback. Now, if I was as a quarterback, what I've been through in college, I could teach an offensive lineman the concept of pass protection, the concept of run blocking, but I can't teach him how to run block. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. And that's one thing that Coach Cole has pointed out is that you need a quarterback who's been in a situation where those live bullets are flying. An offensive lineman, a wide receiver, a running back, they could teach you probably the proper footwork, the mechanics of the position, whatever. But if you've never dealt with live bullets as a quarterback, Coach Cole's contention is you're going to miss something in the coaching process or in the development process of a quarterback because you have to understand what he's going through. And I would just wonder, as one of his pupils at quarterback, did you feel the same way he felt about that? That he believes that he had an advantage of being able to develop quarterbacks because he was an actual quarterback. So he was able to have guys like Leon Murray and Darnell Kennedy and guys like that. He was able to impact you that way.
Yeah. Now as I look back at it, I think I had a really good coach my freshman year, but he wasn't really teaching me mechanics and all that kind of stuff. It was Dieter Brock. He was a quarterback that played for the Rams, but I didn't have that much time with him because I'm 17, just coming out of high school, so I'm trying to learn how to play college football versus how to be a quarterback, right? And we was trying to win games as I was being a freshman starting quarterback. So really, Coach Cole was really the only quarterback coach that I pretty much. Well, I had Ben Harris. So I did have a really good coach in Ben Harris. But Ben Harris wasn't the offensive coordinator. So having, you know, JC as my quarterback coach and the offensive coordinator, it was totally different than anything that I had experienced in college.
Yeah. Darnell, let me ask you this, because we had the great Bruce Eugene on last week, and it is literally verbatim what he said about things and knowledge you had to know about quarterback, the checks, line protections, switch play. So talk about, because this, I'm going to set this up two ways. Why were you guys, you, the Kents, the Willie Time, you guys were able to look at a defense, check off to another play, slide protection, things like that, compared to the quarterbacks now, where everybody's looking to the sideline, and if the defense moves, they still run the same play. Why do you think the level of quarterback comprehension has gotten so low? I mean, it's unbelievable. I listened to you. You and Bruce Eugene literally said the same thing, which, again, look at your stats. You're talking about guys that threw for 4,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, 50 touchdowns, where you got guys now that can barely run an offense, and if the defensive line shifts, they still run the same play. Can you talk about what has happened with that?
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying before with, you know, the high school coach or the college coach is handicapping the kid by not teaching them defensive fronts. Like when I was in college, man, I really believed that anybody could have did what I did. Like the backup quarterback, if he was put in the same position, we gave him JC and all that kind of stuff, he could have went out there and did the same thing I did, right? He would have had the same amount of yards. He would have completed the same passes or whatever the case might be, until I went to professional football. And then you realize these guys go into meetings and they just cannot comprehend it. I don't know if they've never been taught it. I don't know if they, you know what I mean? I don't know if they never saw it before or never heard of it, but these college coaches try to get into a position where they're trying to make the perfect play call, and the defense changed the play, and the quarterback has, you know, but the offensive coordinator called the play for what they was in the beginning, right? So now the defense changes when the quarterback comes back to the line, and he's confused about what just happened. Versus, I learned what play we had to run, what play was good versus this front. Okay, what play is good versus this coverage. So once I learned that, it didn't matter what they came out in. I was going to put us in that play that was good against that front. I was going to put us in that play that was good against that coverage. So it didn't matter what they played. I was going to put us in the right play. Unless it was third down, and coach said don't change the play on third down. So
that was my down.
That was his down. I couldn't change the play on third down.
I appreciate that, because the level is, and again, somebody has watched all the greats come through, see you and Bruce Eugene, and to hear literally the same thing, and to watch what we put on the field, where literally we got 12 teams in the SWAC and only 2 quarterbacks that are competent. You know, maybe another guy, you know what I mean? You know, but I'm just talking about, that's why we're so excited about this game, Jack State and Alabama State, where we want to see competent quarterback play. So when I'm sitting back and looking at you and Robert Kent, one guy throwing for 600 yards, another guy, because of short people, still threw for 5 touchdowns, and you got receivers running complex routes, and I'm sitting up and watching the game, and I'm sitting up here seeing you telling the guy, because Big Round State, Jack State had players on that defense, NFL type players, and you're sitting up and you're switching it, and you're like, wait a minute. And I'm seeing you and not looking at the coach. You're looking at your guy saying, hey, you know what? This is what we're doing. I will never forget. You did a check, and you probably don't remember this, because the reason why they switched something and you saw it. I think maybe that's when you talk about that slant. And you looked at that guy, and everybody just kind of froze, and it was gone. Touchdown. One of those plays. And it was just obvious that, like you said, you knew. And you like, I can't believe they just moved. We're getting ready to move this play. Because it clearly wasn't the play that y'all called. It was so obvious.
Right, yeah.
You know,
okay. Go ahead, coach.
No. What I was simply saying, Darnell, what I think one of the deals is, if I've watched games with Coach Cole, I watched games with Scotty, and those guys are able to recognize things based on alignment about what's available to the offense, right?
Right.
How many times did you just get? It wasn't necessarily your rocket arm or your amazing speed. You just check to they playing off coverage. I'm gonna throw the hitch. That's a free 5 yards. Let's check to that. How many times did that happen over the course of your career, just taking what the defense is offering?
So let me tell you, it was this one play we were playing Grambling, and they gave us 0, right? Now I could have just blocked everybody up, slid the line, and and pulled everybody up, and I could have threw a post and threw it deep and all that kind of stuff, and it would have been the same results. But we had this play we was working on, and it was a shovel pass where I told him to let go of the end, and I run and I challenge the end. As soon as he come up the field, I'm gonna shovel pass it to the running back that's trailing me, and I checked to that play instead. That play went 35 yards to the house. So it ain't always about the big plays and all that. I always took what the defense took, because sometimes I would check to just a curl. We had this route called 67 where the guy runs 15 yards and he's gonna stop. But I'm throwing it before he's stopping. I just know where he's gonna stop. So I just throw it and he stops and catch the ball. So I check to that over and over again. Well, I always took I never cared about, throwing the deep ball. I mean, I could throw it. I like throwing the deep ball, but it's those small throws, those in between, those in the seam throws, those little curl routes. They set up the long throws. So I always check to those first. That was my first check.
Because in your era, and I'm watching your highlights, everything looked easy. It almost looked like I know they had DBs out there. I know there were linebackers out there. I know there were defensive linemen rushing. But when I'm watching your highlight reel and your game film, everything looked like everybody's wide open. So I know it had to be some adjustments that were made to where you were able just to get to the right guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the way I saw the defense, and then the way coach called the plays. I just always was able to find the person. I was always, no matter which way, whether it was which way the linebacker was dropping, whether he jumped on this route and I took the route behind him, or he stayed with that route and I took the route in front of him. I always wanted to know what the defense was doing. That way it made it easier for me to know what I was doing. And I just knew where to go with the ball at the top of my drop. You know what I mean?
I got to ask you this before you get out of here. You're a great player, and it's obvious that you were a cerebral player. You were a great athlete with athleticism, but you were a cerebral player. I know you have your career that you're in now, but is it ever been in your mind to give back to the game that gave you so much as a coach or in some other capacity?
Yeah, I have been coaching. I used to coach football, but my schedule, before I went to the sheriff's office, before I became the lieutenant of the fugitive squad, and when you work for the fugitive squad in Clayton County, that's like you hunt down like people that committed serious felonies, right? The 7 deadly sins: murder, rape, child molestation, stuff like that, right? So the unique thing about working in Clayton County is that as soon as the murder happens, as soon as the rape happens, my sheriff like us for us to find that person before the sun come up. And that's holidays, weekends, whatever. So I kind of didn't have the time to like put into coaching the kids in high school. So I had to stop coaching. And then once I was able to go to the district attorney's office, then now I have the time. So now I'm trying to find, a team that could use me, or, during my free time or whatever the case might be during football season, because basketball season, I'm my wife's assistant in basketball. But I love to give quarterbacks, especially ones that any quarterback, but especially the ones that look like us, the game on how to be a quarterback, especially nowadays, because everybody's getting an opportunity to play. Back then, I couldn't get an opportunity to play because of my size or whatever the case might be. But now I just want to give everybody that opportunity, because I know what's needed, especially on that level. Because you cannot go to that level without being able to read the defense. You can't do it.
Are you an Alabama guy? Did you grow up in Alabama or?
I grew up in Mobile, Alabama. I went to LaFleur High School, and and Alabama State gave me a shot. even though they didn't want to, but they gave me a shot, and look what happened.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is the Florida Rattlers?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of like cousins a little bit. You know what I mean?
Stole our colors and everything. And then Jack put on the jersey and had people thinking that was our jersey, y'all high school jersey. Absolutely.
You know, I hear you talk, man, and you know, you got the resume, Darnell, to start your own stuff. I mean, you're sitting in the mecca of athletes, football players. You just probably got to make the right contacts, and you don't have a quarterback camp yourself. And with your resume and get some flyers out, man, and maybe I hook you up with a couple of coaches over there and have it at either some high school or at the college. And you actually can you can make that happen, man. I know you can. I mean, you were cerebral, and like I take the word out of the coach's mouth. I'll only have to tell you once or twice. You know what to look at. You know what's the right plays to run to each technique, and a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand.
They don't.
That the job of offensive coordinator, man, is to make sure if I don't put you in the right play, that you know that you could check it to the right play. Right. And as we see now, Rocky and Bishop, we sit and watched and like you just said earlier, you know, once the play is called, they don't, regardless of what the defense is, they play it. They just run the play, you know, and run some successful plays in the front. One of the things, though, I want to say was, you know, you put the time in, you know, and you made it clear that you wanted to be great, and you was exactly that. You know, you were great to coach. You were easy to coach, you know, because you loved the game. I don't know, you know, what do you think of the offenses now can compare to the offense that we ran?
I think
because,
the offense is.
We did run in underneath.
Yeah, we did. We did everything. How I'll tell you, big offense. It didn't matter it didn't matter about the shotgun or underneath or whatever, because we still threw streaks from underneath. We threw the seam route, play action, we bootleg. We did it. I think a lot of the offenses now are handicapping guys because you know a lot of quarterbacks now don't get the concept of timing. You know, on why you take a 3-step drop to throw a slant, or why you take a 3-step drop to throw a quick out, or a 5-step drop, and why you don't hitch when you take 5 steps to throw a deep out, or why you hitching when you have to throw a comeback route, or why you hitch to throw a curve route. And then now you done put shotgun in the mix, and then they still have to throw these quick slants, and you see quarterbacks taking drops. NFL quarterbacks taking drops to throw these quick slants, and they wondering why they late. But you'd already, and they sitting there 5 yards. All I gotta do is catch and throw, find the strings maybe. But all it is catch and throw the hitch out there, catch and throw a slant, and now you on time. Or when you're throwing a quick out, only time I would drop if I'm throwing a quick slant in a shotgun is like if I'm trying to let this guy defeat press, so he can go in and out. Then I might take a step or two and then hit him in his chest on the slant route, but. I think a lot of people don't get the concept of timing. I think I was really good on knowing why, you know, things had to come out at a certain time. You helped out a lot with that, with you know, giving me depth and yardage and what the reaction time of the DBs and stuff like that. So I don't think they're getting taught that concept, that part of, you know, reading the defense or why the offense have to be this way.
Hey, Coach, wait a minute. Listen, you just gave me. So, D, let me tell you something. I'm all about making money right here. Let me tell you what we need to do right here. He is in Atlanta. Bruce Eugene is in Atlanta. I'm telling you what we need to do. You need to call Doug Williams to call Arthur Blank, and we need to have our own Black Elite 11. Hosted by Darnell Kennedy and you, and Coach, you come down, and we get the 11 best black college quarterbacks and the 11 best black quarterbacks in the Southeast. And we have the NFL to sponsor that because they got all that money that they say they want to have little black folks out. And Coach, I'm telling you, and you have Doug with, we have a banquet. We can do it. We do it at the practice field when the Falcons not doing anything with two legends. Coach, listen.
What y'all gonna call it? The Black 11?
Man, listen. Hey, listen. Bro, listen. We'll call it the Black Diamonds. We'll call it the Black Gunslingers. Hey, listen, I'll come up with a name that we'll trademark. We can call it the Black Gunslinger 11.
Hey, don't tell them, don't leave you out, Coach. Don't tell them they can't leave.
Y'all put me in a tough situation because guess what? I got 2 more All-American quarterbacks.
No, you ain't put us in no tough situation. What you doing is making so when we go to tell Doug this idea to get that NFL money and talk to Troy Vincent, you see what I'm saying? Because he runs all that. Let's present this to Troy and say, listen, Arthur Blake like to give a lot of money. Arthur Blake is a really great owner. And I'm going to say he does a lot of stuff for HBCUs in this area. And I'm talking about if we get these quarterbacks and listen to what Bruce Eugene, because see, Donnie, let me tell you something. The only way our product is going to get better, it has to start at the quarterback position. And
it has to. It has to.
Because that's the reason why for me, when I just cringe when I see the level of quarterback play, and we're sitting up here got guys, like you said, that has the ability, and not only that, and I think this is very important, the life skills that you say, let me tell you what being a quarterback is. It also means something in your job because, Trey, as you say, you change the future, you got to think really quick on your feet, too.
Oh, yeah.
You see that processing and things. So, Coach, I'm just telling you, we need to put this together. We know all the right people. And listen, I will front some of the money. Listen, if we got to find it, because I know, hey, listen, I know folks. I'm internationally known and locally loved. Hey, we get TC Taylor to come over there. You see what I'm saying? Man, we can get some people where this thing could be a really big thing. So, Darnell, I'm just trying to tell you, you are motivated because the only way we're going to be successful if we bring people like you and Coach Cole and those people to teach these young. Because you know another thing, too? If we teach these guys, then they have a potential chance to go to the NFL. But it has to start like you said. So, Coach,
and I'm talking about.
Listen. Now, Darnell, what do you think about that idea?
I love it. I'm here for it. I love it, man. Because I mean, these guys have to. It makes me cringe, man. When I look at them talk about quarterbacks and I'm watching their feet and watching them throw and what they're looking at and all this kind of stuff, man. I can't stand it when ESPN says, this receiver. I don't know if I can say that on y'all thing, but you said it.
Yeah,
but
you can.
We got to get this receiver X amount of targets, or we got to get that receiver X amount of targets. The play never told me who to throw to. The defense does. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't care about the primary receiver. Yeah, it gave me something to look at first, but the defense is going to tell me where to go with the ball.
Say that again, Darnell.
Yeah, the play don't tell me who to throw the ball to. The defense tell me who to throw the ball to. So I can't be dropping back saying I'm finna go to the number one guy. So that's what these guys been doing. They've been going back and all they're looking for is trying to throw it to the number one guy and wonder why they're throwing picks. You know what I mean? And then
let me say this because I'm smiling, man. My cheeks is hurt. Tell me this: you leave Alabama State, you go to Canadian football. You there? How much of your experience and what you learned at Alabama State when you walked up in the Canadian, you like, oh, I know what that is. I know what that is.
Coach, it was the exact same stuff we've been running because every run play in Canada because we play with 12. So every run play in Canada, they don't block the end. So
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.